It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. I'm the president of Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. You can find a link to my work at emailrevealer.com. As a matter of fact, if you go to emailrevealer.com, there's a little button in there called About Us. And it has like a little biography, different cases I've worked on over the years. It hasn't been updated in a long, long time, in years, as a matter of fact. Oh boy, I got some big updates coming for that soon. But otherwise, you can go to emailrevealer.com and you can get an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You can also look down there for different kind of services like digital forensics, cell phone forensics. We can recover deleted text messages from a cell phone for infidelity investigations or for a criminal court case, a civil court case. Adoption investigations, asset searches, locate hidden assets, bank accounts. And all kinds of fun stuff, man. Emailrevealer.com. You need to locate or identify somebody from an email address. We can do that for you. Being cyberstalked, right? Cyberstalk intervention. Blackmail intervention. I can help you out with that. All kinds of stuff. We got it all going on there. Anyway, this show, the Opperman Report, is brought to you by GetTheT.com. GetTheT.com. Your eyes are getting heavy. GetTheT.com. Get the tea. Life change tea, man. Tea's going to change your life. You know, I'm kind of a little punchy and shell-shocked here because I've done this intro like 6 or 7 times in the past 2 days. I've recorded so many shows in the past 2 days, and even I had a couple of guests lined up that failed in the last second, you know, and I'm just sitting around waiting for people. And the other one was I recorded today for a good half hour that show we're doing about Poppy. You know, it's a good show too. The guy's a good guest. You're gonna like the show. And we're recording about a half hour, and the recording failed. So we wasted all that time and effort and work. And so we're gonna start over. We're gonna try again to record tomorrow. But I've done this intro, Get the Tea, all this kind of stuff. But let me tell you what's going on with GetTheT.com. Life Change Tea. Last Friday, I swam 100 laps in the pool. You know, there's a little debate between what's a length and what's a lap, but 100 lengths, the 25 yards across the pool, 100 times. Okay? And then I went back there on Monday to go do another. I was going to do about 50 laps. I have it in my head how many laps I'm going to do. You know, I don't want to do 100 laps every time. You got to rest a little bit, do some shorter ones, and then the next week you do 120, 125. Anyway, so I was ready to go back and do 50 laps. I was all pumped up and psyched up in my head, you know, focused, laser focused. And I show up there and the pool's closed. They're going to be closed until May 15th. So I had to up all my other exercising. I've been biking and hiking, went on a long bike ride today. I go on a long bike ride today. I come home and the water's shut off in my apartment. Okay. Oh my God. The other thing too is, man, we've been having little power failures, little power outages, man, like 4 a day. The power goes off for like a minute and the alarm goes off and my computer, you know, reboots. But anyway, so I've been biking and hiking in order to make up, and a little weightlifting too at home, push-ups, in order to make up for my lack of swimming in the pool. Weighed myself this morning, and I'm not working out as much as I was because I'm not swimming. A hair under 190. So even when people who know me, I was doing this Daniel fast for months and months. I think I went up to as long as like 6 months on the Daniel fast, which is, if you're on a Daniel fast, that's no meat, no fish, no sugar, no coffee, no alcohol, no rice, no bread, just nuts, fruit, and vegetables. You know, a lot of black bean soup, man, you know. And I couldn't get below 211. People would email me, Ed, you got to do this, you got to do that. I couldn't get below 211. Started this tea. I'm working out more than I have in years. I normally wear size 38 pants, But I got a pair of pants 36, so I'm wearing the 36 now, no problem. But now the 36 pants are loose on me, so we're going to be down at size 34. I haven't been down a size 34 pants since 2005. All right, this is no joke, man. This is life-changing tea. And by the way, too, I'm getting all these messages. Oh, Ed, I'm trying the tea. It's great. Come on air with me. Let's do a show with the callers. If you're using this tea and you like it, man, contact me and we'll do a little spot on the air with me so people understand what the hell I'm talking about here. This is no joke. Get this tea, damn it. Okay. All right. Just buy the tea. Nobody gets hurt. All right. How's that? How's that sound? All right. I gotta sick my Giuliani on you, or my who was that other guy, Michael Cohen. Anyway, getthetea.com. It's Life Change Tea. And they got all different kinds of supplements and stuff on there, too. And I'm sure if you call down there and you talk to Ronnie, I'm sure he'll get on the phone with you or some kind of consultant down there. And I'll tell him what you want to do. You know, what your flaws in your life are, what you're working on. And they'll suggest the tea or the herbal remedy for you at lifechangetea.com. Getthetea.com. Okay, let's get going here. What a day, what a day. Let's see, check my messages here. See if anybody's bugging me. Nobody. What's this? Okay. After the show tonight, normally we have Pierce Redmond, Porkins Policy Review, but Pierce did not send over a show this week. He didn't do a new show. I guess he didn't do a show this week. And also, too, we had some problems, too, with our live show that we do on Thursday mornings. What do you call it? But I'm recording that show, and I'm sending it over to Danny. We're going to have a show on American Freedom Radio for you. It'll be in the archives up there. He'll have it probably tomorrow or something like that. And we just need to plug in all his spots and commercials and stuff. But everything else, for everybody else, is normal. But if you listen on American Freedom Radio, don't panic that there's no show on there. There's going to be a show there by the end of the weekend. No Pierce Redmond tonight, no Porkins Policy, but I have an interview that I did. You're going to hear more. We're going to have, how many? 2, 3, 4 hours, solid hours of Ed Opperman. How's that? Wasn't that the dream come true? Okay. And I'm going to be interviewing one of my new sponsors, the WPR Rebuttal, Mr. Joseph Oler. I talked to him for a good 40 minutes, and then I'm going to be interviewing my daughter, Victoria, about her debate. So I know a lot of people enjoy those old interviews I used to do with Victoria when she was really little. So we're going to be talking about her debate team adventures tonight and promoting their GoFundMe and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Oh, one more thing. Boy, we got a lot of notes, man. A lot of stuff here. Might as well just do a whole commercial. No show. I'll do the commercials, and I'll do little snippets of show around the commercials. But on May 11th, which I think is next Friday, I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is. 7 plus 4 is 11. See, I'm smart. I don't get what he says. Dumb. I'm smart. What do you call it? I'm going to be at Amy Villela, amyforthepeople.com, running for Congressional District CD4 in the state of Nevada. I'm going to be at her headquarters. We're doing a telethon. I think I have to fill a half-hour time. I'm not sure. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about, but it's going to be something good, something funny. Not too serious. But we're going to have a fun show there. May 11th, so tune in for that. I'm going to be playing it on Awake Radio at least and Spreaker. I'll contact the other stations. See, or if anybody of those other stations are listening, if anybody listens to this show, you can contact me and tell me if you want the show to play. I may play the whole telethon from beginning to end on Awake. Yeah, that's the kind of guy I am. Okay. Name of the show is Reporters Lying and Reporting Lies. And then we're going to talk about May Day. We had May Day this week. I'm going to tell you about May Day. Workers' holiday. A lot of people don't seem to understand that. May Day is a workers' holiday, which means you work. Now, I don't know if you've been following what's going on here this week with our president, Mr. Trump, especially if you watch the Thursday press conference with the Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And there was such tension in that room because I think the White House press corps has gotten fed up with being lied to, just blatantly lied to. And, especially about such an insignificant issue like this Stormy Daniels case. When did Trump know? Did he pay back the money? Did he not pay back the money? He didn't know. He knew 2 weeks ago. And then Giuliani comes out, has a total meltdown. The story changes again. And we seem to be at a turning point with this business of people just fed up with the president lie. And that wasn't the only lie that week. Just imagine, too. I don't know if you caught this story about that President Trump's doctor and how he talks about how Keith Schiller and one of Trump's lawyers from Trump Properties and another man came and, as he described it, raided his doctor's office and came and picked up all of Trump's medical records and pictures on the wall of Trump. It cleansed the office of the. This is theft. This is a burglary. Or if there were people present, there were people present. It was a robbery. Sent thugs over there to get his stuff. If you or me want your medical records, you got to fill out a form. It's called what is it called? Authorization for release of documents. That's what it's called. I've done this a million times. You're working with a client and they're claiming an accident or something like that. You need to get their medical records for whatever reason. And they have to fill out an authorization for release of documents. And they have to put on there, too, that I'm allowed to see them. And then I submit it to sometimes I go down and serve it in person. And you go down to give it to the doctor's office, and then they release a copy of the patient's records over to me if I'm on the list, or directly to the patient. That's how this is done. And there's HIPAA violations. There's Privacy Act laws. And these are, I tried to get a doctor pinched on this violation of HIPAA and Privacy Act. And it's difficult. But they're all antsy about it and worried they're going to get sued and violated and stuff like that. And so they're very careful about this. And they don't release records like they used to back in the old days. It used to be very easy to get medical records. As a matter of fact, I told a story about it. I told it on the show here a few times about how I had this. I got into a fight with my girlfriend's ex-husband, and I was being charged with assault. And what do you call it? We found out that we thought I broke his jaw. So I went to the hospital. I pretended I was him, and I got his X-rays. They just handed me his X-rays. And when the guy handed me over the X-rays, he goes, "Well, you're this guy?" And I says, "Yeah." He says, "Well, this guy's got a broken jaw. You don't have anything wrong with your face." I says, "Oh, yeah. Give me the X-rays. I'm getting out of here." Anyway, so there's a whole procedure to this. But the thing is, this doctor comes out and he says, "Well, by the way, that letter that I wrote about Mr. Trump's health when he was campaigning for president of the United States of America, Trump wrote that. Trump dictated that, and I wrote it down, and I put it on my letterhead, and I signed it." So Trump lied about his health when he was running for president. Now, and he's lying too. We caught him lying dead hand. We know there's a lie here somewhere. Either he knew about Stormy Daniels or he didn't know about it. Either he paid it back or he didn't. He said every combination of that. So we know he's lying. Now, he's not lying to me, because I know he's a liar. I don't believe a word he's saying. He's not lying to the enemy. He's not lying to the Democrats. He's not lying to the deep state to fight off the deep state. He's lying. If you're his supporter, he's lying to you. Just like lying Sean Hannity lied to you. Remember we did a whole show about that a couple weeks ago? Lying Sean Hannity lying to you about his connection with Michael Cohen and his slush fund. Which, by the way, breaking news time, we just found out Michael Cohen had a slush fund of $775,000. Not just $130,000 he paid over to Stormy Daniels. I got a couple of suspicions about this. And one would affect me personally, and I'm very happy about it, okay? Now, one would be that there's some shady dealings, because I know, and I've reported on this in the past, I've been talking about this in the past, there's no way this payoff was just $130,000. More money was paid than that, because I know how much these cases are worth. This is worth a lot more than that. This is worth about $1 million. $1.5 million, $2 million. Okay? I know that. So either this was an installment or something, or there was a shady payoff here, okay? And the client got stiffed. Well, I hate to think that happened. I'd hate to think that happened. But it's a suspicion. It's out there. The other thing that could have happened is, the allegation and the dodgy dossier and the discredited dossier and the fake dossier, right? The Christopher Steele dossier, which nobody to this day, I've done shows about this. I've asked the company, show me one thing in there that's inaccurate. No one's been able to point one thing. All they say is, well, the whole thing, everything about it. What page? Show me a lie in that dossier that's incorrect, that hasn't been proved. Well, the whole thing, everything it was paid for by, no one can point to anything there that's inaccurate. And every day that goes by, we find more and more. One of the things it says in there is that good old Michael Cohen went over there with a bag full of money to pay off all the stuff. And now we see he's got a $700,000 slush fund. There's more corroboration to the Steele dossier. So we know Trump's lying. He's not lying to me. If you're his supporter, if you're his fan, if you're defending him, if you're making excuses for him, he's lying to you. Okay? And stop and ask yourself, why is he lying to you? You guys, well, let him do anything he wants anyway. You'll make excuses anyway for him. It's just as long as he's going to build that stupid wall. A wall that's not even going to work. It's not going to change. Your neighbors are still going to look the way they are. Okay? When you go to the car wash, the people are going to look the same way they look now. When you go to the 7-Eleven, the people are going to look exactly the same. These people are not all going to magically become white because you put up a wall. It's not going to happen. So whatever you're dreaming of, wake up. So he's lying to you. He's lying to you. And is this a surprise? Well, the guy spent a life lying. Con games. Trump University, where he took people's money, charged into their credit card, asked them to increase their credit limit so he could take them for $30,000 a pop. One guy was 70 years old, and he took $30,000 from him. And then he had the guys, well, buy memberships for your son too. Send them to Trump University. Another 30. It was like 70,000 total. He gave him a discount, ripping him off. So we know the guy's a liar. We know he's a con man. Now, when we point this out, and then we know about the story. I've reported on this many, many times. The story of the lawsuit with he was a co-defendant with a convicted pedophile, convicted child molester, Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, and everybody now talks about Epstein. They all think they're experts on Epstein, but okay, fine. Okay, good for you. Go back 4 or 5 years ago and see who started the whole Epstein discussion. You go back, find my first shows on Epstein. No one was discussing it back then. I couldn't find a guest to come on this show who knew who Jeffrey Epstein was. And I settled on Robert Morrow, who's a right-winger, by the way. He's a Republican. He came on the show and talked about this. But now everybody's an expert. They're lecturing me on what's going on here. Well, I got news for you. There's some news coming out for you in a very short while. But I've been reporting to you on Trump's connection. His co-defendants with this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, right? They were charged with raping a girl when she was 13 years old. She had two witnesses from her childhood that remembered her talking about this story, telling them about how it affected her life. So you got 3 people swearing under oath that they were... and that they knew about this story. And then there was a third girl who was threatened. They were threatened that if you talk about this, you refuse, you're going to wind up just like Maria. Well, I did a show with Wayne Madsen recently, and he claims he's located Maria and he's found Maria. Okay, I'm not so sure about his reporting on that. And even, when I questioned him, I brought him on the show and I questioned him, and I contacted him off the air too about it. I'm not so sure if he's really found the real Maria, okay? But there's a comment I see where someone says, well, Wayne Madsen was a never-Trumper. So we can't believe what he says. So the theory is, right, that people who support Trump the liar, who's lying to them, have this theory that anybody who's reporting the facts about Mr. Trump must be lying and must be making it up. Now, just think what would be involved in this. To come up with, to find someone willing to put their name on a lawsuit, to find lawyers willing to file this lawsuit, and Cheney Mason. Tom Mayer, okay, was the first attorney on this Katie Doe case, the 13-year-old who was suing Trump. Tom Mayer from New Jersey. He's a patents attorney. He's a very good patents attorney, but he's not. This isn't his kind of law. Okay, this wasn't his expertise. Okay, but he brought in later on Cheney Mason, the one who defended the top mom down there in Florida, and won that case. By the way, it was a death penalty case. Won that case. So the theory is that for some reason, this woman, would make up this story to file. First, she filed her own lawsuit, but then she found a lawyer who filed it for her correctly. That she would make this up, and that she would be able to come up with two friends who would also make up and sign affidavits against Trump, a lawsuit guy who was suing everybody, 4,000 suits, plus the guy's running for president. Plus, he knows all these shady characters. That they were going to make all that up. For what purpose? What did they benefit from any of this? Okay? What did they benefited? Nothing. And a lot of people will report you and they'll say, well, the judge looked at that and they threw the case out. That's not what happened at all. This girl got terrified. Okay, there was going to be a press conference. The press conference, Lisa Bloom came on the case. There was going to be a press conference, and her website was shut down with a DDoS attack, and the live stream that website was shut down. And that's when this kid became terrified and said, I don't want any part of it. That's when everybody became terrified. Now, then when they said, well, that whole has to be a lie. Because anybody who would report something negative about Mr. Trump has to be lying. Stormy Daniels is lying. McDougal is lying. Karen McDougal, the Playboy Bunny, she's lying. The victims of Trump University, they're all lying. The victims of Jeffrey, everyone's lying. But the one we know for a fact who's lying right in front of our face is who? President Mr. Trump. So the theory is, and we're reporting on a liar who is the president of the United States. They're now it's blatantly lying to us, to our face. Sean Hannity lied to us. We know he lied. He lied in court. But the theory is by these devoted lovers of this man is that everybody's lying, and here we have the proof right in our face. That he's not lying to me. He's lying to you. The man you love and you defend with all your heart and soul is lying to you. And you still believe that every report about him is a lie. Now, this is very personal to me, okay? This kind of thing is very personal to me because I deal with victims of con men all the time. Okay, this is one of the things I do, internet con games. So even those Nigerian scams, back in the old days, I was one of the only guys who was tracing that money back with those Nigerian scams. And a lot of that money, by the way, was going to Israel. Okay, that's a whole other story, too. A lot of those Nigerian scams, you see these email scams, and the 954 Nigerian scams, the 908, whatever they call them, right? Those are really originating out of Israel. Okay, those are Israeli guys doing those scams. But they want to make it look like it's Nigeria, so there's no hope of getting your money back. But that's a whole nother story for another day. And there's these romance scams you see online. I've dealt with a lot of those catfish investigations, right? And the victims of this case will say, no. And I said, look, here's the proof. This is a fake account. It's a fake name. The guy who's using it, the guy's deceased. He's using a deceased guy's name. He's using a deceased guy's address. Okay? Here's the proof for you. No, you must be lying to me. Because he says you're lying. Okay. So we just, and it's the same thing I'm doing. And I'm beating my head against the wall here. And the other thing he'll say to me is, well, Ed, it's better than Hillary. Oh, he's fighting the deep state. He's about to arrest all these pedophiles. Look at Q. We got inside information. Q is telling us all this stuff. Does anybody still believe Q, by the way? Is there anybody still who's taking that thing seriously after all this? If you are, you must still be waiting for those Jade Helm tunnels and the Walmart tunnels to come popping up, right? Right? Okay, we got to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. We're after some more. And now a word from our sponsors.
Hi folks, Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Get the tea, your best defense.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subhash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now you can get a hold of Subhash Technosis by email at info@subhashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subhashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing you narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow. Shedding the light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Show's brought to you by GetTheTea.com. Okay, now, a lot of people, they'll comment on this and say, well, Ed, you've got Trump disorder syndrome. You're obsessed with Trump. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Well, let me tell you something. I'm personally involved in a lot of this stuff here. I've told you on the air, I've been talking about this since June 2016, that I knew all about this Stormy Daniels case. I knew all about these Playboy bunnies and these porn stars and stuff like that that had pictures and they were shopping their stories around. I told you about this on the air way, way, way back then. Okay, by the way, I'm going to tell you, too. I'll tell you about my relationship with Giuliani, too. I've known Giuliani since I was 20 years old. Okay? 19, 20 years old. All right? I knew him. And I talk about, when I say about, I always say, oh, yeah, I worked on the Commission trial and the Pizza Connection trial. These were all cases that Giuliani prosecuted. But there was a lot of cases I worked on. No one would have heard of them. And I told the story on the air a few times about that guy that was going away to prison for 15 years and convicted of murder. He got a great deal. And that Giuliani prosecuted that case. You know? But no one would know these other cases. And they're just not that big, not famous cases. But we dealt a lot with Giuliani's office and those prosecutors in that office. Because our clients at this time was a lot of organized crime clients. And let me tell you something. I'm the first to admit that the FBI and the federal prosecutors, Department of Justice, are sleazy, cutthroat, corrupt. They'll go after your family, they'll take you down. But the thing is, all the clients knew what they were getting into. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. You know what I'm saying? And I've known, so I knew Giuliani back when he was in his prime prosecuting, okay? And he was an arrogant prick at the time. But I met him again later socially down at the Doral Inn. I used to hang out down there, And he would come in. In fact, I was there the night. I bought rounds of drinks, for Giuliani and Raul Felder and all these guys. All the Billy Diamond. By the way, too, all you guys who support Trump, he's fighting the deep state and all that stuff. Why would he have 9/11 Giuliani on his team? If you're believing that there's a deep state, which I believe, okay, but not the same way you're thinking, but because I believe Trump is definitely part of the deep state. You got Kissinger in there. He's got the Rothschild Inc., Wilbur Ross. Done a million shows about this. But anyway, your theory is Trump's he's a loner and he's fighting for the little guy and he's going to arrest all these pedophiles. By the way, do you know that it was Giuliani who cleared Colonel Aquino and the Presidio Daycare Center child molestation case? Did you know that? But now he's a good guy and he's working with Trump and they're all going to be doing good stuff. They're going to arrest all these elite pedophile rings and arrest 4,000 sealed indictments right there waiting to go. It's all a big plan and Q's behind us and we're patriots and we're doing this. Right? That's the theory. Okay. And all you guys believe, right? The 9/11 truthers, that's what started this whole big movement here, right? That there was an inside job and Bush knew about it. Wouldn't Giuliani know about that? Wouldn't Giuliani be right there in the midst of it? He would have to know. He would have to know. He's at the center of it. There's no way that could get by him. At that time, he was still a sharp guy. There's no way that would get by him. Plus, Kerik had to know. And what were they doing instead of helping people? Kerik was ripping off 9/11 victims. Went to prison for it. Okay, some guy donated a condo for first responders to go up there and relax and rest. He took it for his own use. He brought his girlfriend up there. I'm gonna keep this condo for myself. Just like he stole all the artwork at Rikers Island when he was working over there at the Department of Corrections. Anyway, I'll tell you some things that never been reported. Okay. Anyway. So the theory is that Giuliani, now he's a truther, he's a good guy, and he's going to expose all the elite pedophiles and stuff like that, Now, some little telling thing when he called Comey a pervert. I think it was Comey, right? Might have been Mueller. But he said, oh, what a perverted guy. That's interesting, because I do kind of believe that Giuliani got a peek on what was on Weiner's laptop. And that whole crew there, Eric Prince and Weiner, and Eric Prince and Giuliani and Keith Schiller, have the kind of connections to get a look at what, or even take a hold of that evidence that was on there and use it to blackmail the Clintons. And anyway, that's all. That's my own little side theory that I'm cultivating. That's a theory. Okay, and when I have a theory, and I tell you it's a theory, I come on here, I tell you it's a theory. When there's certain things I know, okay, that I know from my reporting, from my investigation, I'll tell you that as a fact. And I'll even say to you sometimes, I can testify in court to this, what I'm saying. Okay? Now, there's other things I'd love to tell you. There's things I'd love to tell you right now. That's at the tip of my tongue. but I can't. I've got non-disclosure agreements. I've got client confidentiality. I don't want to burn my reputation as a private investigator with attorneys and clients and stuff like that. So there's things I can't say that I'd love to tell you. And I'd love to say I got a personal involvement in a lot of this stuff. I've been telling you about Stormy Daniels since June 2016. I've known Giuliani since I was a kid. 20 years old. Sat down, had drinks with him. I stood behind him in line at the happy hour buffet where I could peek. One time I was looking at behind him because he's a short guy. He's like 5'8", 5'9". Short guy. And I'm 6 foot. I'm standing hovering over him. And he's bending down getting some little hot dog weenies or chicken wings or something, right? And I could see it from the back of his head because he had that comb over back in those days. I could see a bald spot right from the back of his head. You know, but like, I think probably even nudged the guy next to me and pointed at it. Okay. By the way, you know, he's a very personable, fun guy after a few drinks. He's a fun guy. I could say some things. You know, there's certain things I could say, conversations that were had, comments that were made that I have no respect for. But it was the time. That's the way people talked. You know. There's certain things I won't talk about, you know, but whatever. Okay, but he could be a very personable guy. There's a lot of things about him turn me up, but he could be a very personable guy. And when you look at him now, okay, another thing too, when you see him on there, he's got to tell. But that's not his real personality when you see him on there on TV. He's more of a fixer kind of guy himself, okay? And he's got this little wry sense of humor when he's busting balls, where he does this thing where he licks his lips. You know, and he does this thing with his lips and his jaw. You keep looking for that because that's when he's being a real. It's a signal for him. That's a tell for him. Either he's making something up, or he's lying, or he's trying to make a point with you there. Keep an eye out for that. But not only though, I have a relationship with Giuliani for years. By the way, we haven't talked for like 40 years. I'm pretty sure he'd remember me. But anyway, because he remembered me from when I was a kid to when I met him years later when I held the nightclub. But, and by the way, too, you got to remember, when I was hobnobbing with all these guys, these movers and shakers in Manhattan, it's because I was in the nightclub business. I wasn't some choir boy, okay? I was out there doing stuff, okay? And I had a lot of money. But, you know, here's the top prosecutor, so-called, the top cop and all this kind of stuff, and he's hanging out with me, you know, or you know what, right? But anyway. I've got some personal stakes in this, too, because like I said, I've been talking about this case since June 2016. I've known all about this, like I told you before. I had the same agent that Stormy Daniels had, and I worked with the same lawyer that she had. I worked with a lawyer that negotiated the settlement for us. I'm aware of all this. And let me tell you something else. Besides that, I am convinced that my name and maybe even my address and my phone number is going to be in Michael Cohen's records. And I'm glad that the FBI seized all his stuff. Because right around that same time, okay, when I was talking about stuff and I was working on some stuff off the air in my professional capacity, I received a very serious, credible threat to my life. And this was done very professionally. This wasn't one of these. I get a lot of stupid phone calls and stupid emails. Hey, we're going to come get you. I want you back. All that nonsense from these children. Okay? But I know what a real legitimate threat is. Okay? I've worked on some of the biggest organized crime cases out there, and I've heard real threats. Okay? And I know how they're done. And this was a very professional threat made to me. They made it very clear. They knew where I lived. They knew my whereabouts. They knew my movements. They knew where my kid goes to school. Made this very clear to me. And I better cooperate in a certain way. My career would be in shambles, which it is anyway. Okay. All right. And I don't believe this threat just came from what I say on the air. I believe, and I'm pretty damn sure, it came from some work I was doing off the air, as well as what I talk about partially on the air. And I believe, and I'm hoping, man, I know my name's in there. I know my name's been mentioned and all this kind of stuff back and forth with Trump and with Michael Cohen. I know my name's been mentioned, but I'm wondering if all the other stuff, my address and all that stuff, is in there too. And if it is, then we know who was behind that. Okay, let's take a little commercial break. We'll come back when we'll talk about happy news. By the way, got a great story. If everybody followed with the Reverend Ed Pinkney, you know, he got his conviction overturned by the Supreme Court there in Benton Harbor, Michigan. The state of Michigan overturned his conviction, saying it was never a crime to begin with, what he was charged with. It was a simple violation. It wasn't a felony, and the jail time was all unlawful. So hopefully he can sue now for civil rights and get a nice little payday there.
And now a word from our sponsors.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing you narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow, shedding light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find a link to Subhash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us.
People are waking up. They're standing up to those pushing pesticides and GMOs as safe alternatives for a starving world. What a bunch of crap! I tell you, I'd rather eat dirt. So I drink Life Change Tea. It's an herbal drink, cleansing my body of toxic sludge and nasty chemicals, and of course, ridding the intruders that are hidden in my so-called food. And by the way, Life Change Tea is non-GMO and organic. No fillers, no yuck. Just a great defense against you-know-what. May the supplement force awaken you. Don't fall to the dark side. Sorry. I went to the movies last night. Anyway, enough said. How do you get that herbal drink and change your life? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. You will awaken. You will get stronger, and you might even lose a bit of weight. So awaken to Life Change Tea and the many one-of-a-kind supplements at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. May the supplement force be with you.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report member section. In the member section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at OppermanReport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you even get a copy of my book. I want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us produce the show and book guests. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. I want to wish everybody a happy May Day. We had May Day this week. Right? May Day is a workers' holiday. Workers, right? That is a funny thing because, there's all this confusion about May Day and about socialism and about workers and about a workers' holiday like May Day, right? And so many people say, I'm a leftist, man. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a progressive. Okay. I'm a leftist. I'm a leftist socialist. And what I believe, and what people say, oh my goodness, oh honey, get my heart medicine. I'm coming home. Elizabeth, I'm coming home, Elizabeth. Fred Sanford, remember that? He's a socialist. My goodness. Okay, well, calm down. Okay, calm down. Socialist. And people say, well, how could you be a socialist? And you want to take money away from people who work and give it to people that don't work. And what you're thinking of when you say, you're thinking of capitalism. See, it's the capitalist who takes money from the workers and gives it to the people who don't work, like the Walton family. See, under capitalism, someone can inherit money, capital, and instead of having to work, they can put their money out to work for. They could buy stock, or they could buy a company, and they could buy people to run it, so they can have their capital work for them. They don't have to work, but they're leeching money from the people. They don't have to go out to work every day, but the people who go out to work every day aren't earning as much as they could. They aren't taking it. If the workers own that factory, they could take home all the profits for themselves. Okay. And they wouldn't divide it equally like Utopia, whatever it is. No, the managers would make more than the guy who's cleaning the toilets. The skilled tradesmen would make more. Okay, that's all. So nothing would change. The business would be run exactly as it would. But we would get rid of that lazy, stinking, non-working capitalist who somehow thinks his money can work for him. His money's going to put on a suit and tie and go to work for him. When you and me got to put on a hard hat and a tool belt and go to work for ourselves. We got to get money has to come out of my pocket and go to that guy. No, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about I go to work every day and the people are sitting home on welfare doing nothing. Okay, well, let's examine that. There's people who can't work. I've employed thousands of people in my life. I've done thousands of employment interviews. I've tried to employ people I've wanted to help. People who are friends and family and stuff like that. And I wanted to help them, give them a job. Some people can't work. They can't even go down to the welfare office and wait online without going out and smoking a cigarette. And they can't function. They can't sit still. They've got problems. So the problem could be an addiction. The problem could be a physical, could be a psychological, could be a mental illness. Could be a physical disability. There are people that can't take care of themselves. Okay? And this is under capitalism, socialism, communism, any kind of form of economic system, what there is out there, that some people can't. Now, what do we do with them? Well, it's a society we could try and help. If I'm a capitalist, I've been a capitalist. I've been a capitalist my whole life. I earn money, I own businesses. I've never worked for anybody else. Okay? I had a couple little jobs. But the thing is, these people, either we're going to exterminate them, like Hitler would, right? Or we're going to give them some kind of help and some kind of assistance. Okay? And that doesn't mean it's socialism. That has nothing to do with the definition of socialism. That doesn't mean it's capitalism. That has nothing. If you want to kill them, that's Nazism. That's fascism. Okay? If you want to exterminate these people and put them in ovens, okay, which a lot of people seem to want to do, that's the situation you got there. But otherwise, socialism is and May Day is a workers' holiday. Workers of the world unite. Let's take back what we're working for. Okay? Yeah, if I go to work, man, none of my money should be going to some fat cat Walmart, Walton family member. Never worked a day in her life, out there drunk driving, killing people. Because she's got nothing to do because she don't go to work. Sat back, inherited her money, and now she's got 40% of this country's wealth. That if 40% of us all got together and took our nickels and dimes and our pennies and our car title and our home mortgage deed, and we opened on whatever little investments we got, and we put it in a pile, 45% of us would equal 6 members of the Walton family. They've never worked a day in their life. inherited all their money, don't pay taxes, killed somebody drunk driving, and plus on top of this, they just got a $60 billion windfall dropped in their lap by good old President Mr. Trump that a lot of people out there think want to help the working man by giving the Walton family $60 billion. That makes sense, don't it? Because he's out for you, ain't he? You'd think all these right-wingers say, well, I work hard every day and I pay my taxes and I have good credit. I pay my bills. I work. Well, how come none of you guys are out there on May Day or the workers' holiday? How come we only see the leftists out there that care about the working man? Huh? Where are you? And how come, too, why is it on May Day, when down in Puerto Rico, you got these teachers out there marching, celebrating May Day, and 1,000 cops come out and beat the crap out of them? And one more thing. Have you noticed that ever since all these teachers across the country are going out marching for a raise in pay, these guys making nothing, 30 grand a year, ever since they've gone out and started organizing and marching and rallying and marching on their city halls and their, right, and their local government, that all this talk about arming these teachers has gone out the window. It's kind of like no one's talking about it anymore, right? Well, we got school shooters. We need to arm these teachers. Well, the teachers are striking. The teachers are protesting. Take away their guns right away, right? So if you really are a worker, man, and you care about hard work, and you don't want your hard-earned money going to people that don't work, you're not a capitalist. You're a socialist. Did you know that? You didn't know that, did you? See, it's the capitalists that want to take money away from the workers and give it to people that don't work, the people who inherited money and now can have that money work for them. The poor are always going to be there. The disabled are always going to be there. The mentally incompetent, the people who can't function, they're always going to be there no matter what system you got. Either we're going to kill them or we're not going to kill them. They are not part of this equation. Socialism has nothing to do with welfare. Socialism has nothing to do with Medicaid or social. Real socialized medicine. People call Obamacare socialized medicine. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Obamacare is a subsidy to the insurance companies. Again, insurance companies, okay, that's not socialism. It's a leech. That's a capitalist leech, leeching off of you and me when we're trying to go visit our doctor. We got some insurance company in the middle of us here, taking a cut of the money. For what? What do we need them for? We don't need them one bit. They don't have that in Israel. In Israel, you pay you $30 a month to the government. Right there at the bank, you pay it. Comes out of your check automatically. And it goes, where does it go? It doesn't go to an insurance company. It goes to build hospitals and pay doctors and come up with medicine and build crutches, right? And casts and stuff like Band-Aids, things like that. Not an insurance company. Got the most expensive medical system in the world. And I just went through it trying to get some kid into rehab and the detox. 4 days it took us. And she had insurance. And Medicaid. Gadzooks. So if you believe in keeping all your money, if you're a hard-working man, you want to keep your money, then you're a socialist like I am. How do you like that? And did you know? Okay, right? And what are we paying in our tax? Paying 30% coming out of my paycheck, right? 30% in taxes. Did you know that if the top 1%, these billionaires out there, if they paid the same tax rate that you and I paid, that the national revenue of tax revenue would increase? I used to say it was by 70%, but it's by 80%. We'd have an 80% increase in tax revenue. And the rest of us would have to pay no taxes whatsoever. If they just paid what we're paying now, okay, you'd have to pay nothing. And the tax revenue would go up by 80%. Now, if you were, just imagine if you paid no tax, and we're making more tax money's coming in because the 1% finally they're making them do something, right? If you were paying no tax, that means your paycheck would increase almost double. It would almost double your paycheck, which would mean the economic buying power of the 340 million rest of us would suddenly double. We'd all be spending more money. This would bring down the cost of goods and services. This would be the greatest economic boom to this country in the history of mankind. If suddenly you had double the money in your pocket. It's insane. And there's a lot of other things we could do, too. We can get to that in a further show because we're already at 55 minutes. The show's almost over. But these are just some common sense solutions to our problems. And if you're afraid of the word socialism because you don't understand what it is, okay, just listen to the show, okay? You know, I'll happily explain it to you. Well, Ed, you know, socialism, that's like Cuba, and I gotta have guns. That's totalitarian government. But hey, well, listen, right? Russia used to be a communist country, right? And they had a totalitarian government and the KGB and all that stuff like that. Well, now they're no longer communist. They're capitalists now, right? But they still got the same kind of government. Right? That hasn't changed. So it's not that communism or capitalism changes the authoritarianism of the government. Okay? That's a whole... We're talking about an economic policy, an economic structure of the country, or whether it's democratic or it's a free country or it's a dictatorship. They're not interchangeable. Not every communist country, not every socialist country is a dictatorship. I want freedom. I don't want socialism. I want freedom. Okay. Anyway, listen. Show's over. I'm done. If you like the show, for my sad music, I need it today. If you like the show, check out OppermanReport.com. I've been busting my butt this week, man. I really have. You know, and I really need your support. I've been getting killed over here, and so many problems. The internet's going on and off. People, I put in so many hours this week for this show, man. So please, I need your support. So if you want to support the show, you become a member. And by the way, too, I had 2 guests flake out on me this week, man. So the show I was going to put in the member section, couldn't even go in there. So please, if you can help support the show, okay, OppermanReport.com. We have a member section where you get extra content, and you could read the Trump University lawsuit documents are up there. The Jeffrey Epstein 24-page letter where he talks about how he helped create the Clinton Foundation. That's in there. The search warrant of Jeffrey Epstein's house. Extra shows that you can't get free anywhere. You can only get them in the member section. So you become a member, help to support the show. It would be a blessing in my life. I'd really appreciate it. OppermanReport.com. Go to the member section. Or there's special archives in there too where you could just buy the shows 1 or 2 at a time for like $2. And that'll help support things too. Donations, yeah, you know, we've gotten some donations lately. One guy bailed us out. Otherwise, man, we would have been, forget it, Spreaker would have been shut off. One guy came in and bailed me out. You know, but donations always help too. There's a donate button there at OppermanReport.com. Otherwise, you can donate directly at OppermanReport@gmail.com. If you want to advertise on the show, which, you know, you hear me talking about this tea stuff. Okay, we've got another show coming up with the WPR rebuttal. I'm going to do a whole show with this guy coming up after this. And then I'm going to be talking to my daughter Victoria in 15 minutes on top of that. So if you want to advertise, man, it's a great advertising opportunity. It's so cheap. It's insane. It's as little as $36. I think it's $36 a week, man, for one of the packages. And you know, you hear the ad 3 times a night. We play 6 days a week on KYAH AM radio in Utah, or on iHeart, iTunes, or on Spreaker, Podbean, podcast, all that kind of nonsense, YouTube. You know, all that stuff, man. And played on like 7 different internet stations who carry this show, and then repeat it over there too. You know, they don't just play it once; they repeat it all the times. And your ads are played on Awake Radio too, between every single show we play on there. So they play all day long, 24/7. It's an incredibly inexpensive advertising opportunity. So check that out at OppermanReport.com. Email me at OppermanReport@gmail.com. Once they're locked in that car, they think they got to listen to the show. iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Podbean, Podcast, YouTube, all that stuff. Played everywhere, all over the place. You can't miss the show. 10 different internet stations, People's Internet Radio, a public streaming network, AwakeRadio.us, IPM Nation, and now on Ocelli.com, on Chuck Ocelli put us on his station. So you can't, it's rock bottom prices to advertise on the show, and that's how you help support the show. Also become a member, OppermanReport.com. Or contact me for a discount, OppermanReport@gmail.com. Thank you so much, John. I'll eat.
And I'm looking forward to being stalked by all these characters he got me hooked up with now. www.elitedarkesthour.com. That's ALITE. We'll have his book in the Opperman Report book store on our website.